Iran's war with the occupying state. The war we are witnessing these days undoubtedly has very significant economic repercussions for both countries, as well as a very high cost in terms of the destruction of Iran's infrastructure, and also a large number of assassinations of military leaders and Iranian scientists in the field of agriculture. What are the consequences of this war, and what is its economic impact on Iran and on the daily life of the Iranian citizen? This is what we will be discussing in this video. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. Now let's start the story from the beginning. Iran is ranked approximately second in the world in terms of its natural gas reserves, and it also holds the fourth position globally in terms of its oil reserves on the international level. And although Iran has many sectors in industry and agriculture, such as the carbohydrate sector, the industrial sector, and logistics services, as well as, of course, manufacturing industries and financial services, the oil sector remains the main and primary source of income for Iran. A shortage in oil and energy supply, export operations, or any reduction in the volume of exports or imports in any way due to wars, it has a very direct impact on the economies of all countries alike, whether they are oil exporting countries or those that import crude oil from Iran. Also, in recent times, with changing weather conditions that we always hear about, we see that Iran has experienced severe drought in recent years. These droughts have caused significant erosion of its agricultural crops, and consequently this affects both the export of these crops and Iran's self-sufficiency in agricultural products. In fact, military and economic experts estimate that the daily losses Iran incurs as a result of this war range from $750 to $800 million. These are daily losses that Iran has been bearing throughout the duration of the war. However, the most significant daily impact can be seen in oil prices and the fluctuations in oil prices, which have increased by approximately 7 to 10% since this war began between Iran and the Zionist state. Without a doubt, this increase means that we can observe inflation in prices, not just for oil, but for all products. This inflation affects not only Iran, which is currently engaged in the war, but also the countries that import from it, such as China, for example. China is the largest country importing crude oil from Iran. Nevertheless, despite this increase in oil prices, we can still say that prices are more or less within safe limits. This is because Iran exports oil only to China and not to the entire world due to the economic sanctions imposed on it from the United States of America. That's one aspect. On the other hand, the oil produced by other countries such as the Gulf states constitutes the largest quantity, and the entire world relies on it directly in their daily lives. Therefore, this situation could change if the United States and Britain decide to enter this war directly, and as a result, Iran would strike the military bases in the Gulf. At this point, oil supplies could decrease significantly, and the world could be directly and greatly affected because the Gulf states export between 3 to 4 million barrels per day. Of course, this number could be affected if the war lasts longer, or if the war in one way or another spreads to these countries. Also, this war has effects not only in the field of oil, but we are also seeing other disruptions in transportation, tourism, and logistics. There is also the rerouting of civil and commercial aviation outside of Iranian airspace. We know that Iranian airspace is a key route for flights traveling from Asia to European countries. Now we see that these planes have changed their routes to longer or larger paths. And this also adds to transportation costs and increases the expenses of shipping goods, which ultimately results in a higher final cost for the consumer. We are also witnessing very significant problems in maritime trade and the passage of ships for the same reason, because of the war. And for example, we see these issues in the Strait of Hormuz, since Iran has direct control over the strait. Without a doubt, all these factors impact and deepen the negative economic effects on Iran, especially if this war continues for a long time. Also, because of this war, we are seeing a significant disruption in financial markets and currency exchanges, which in turn directly pushes investors towards safe havens. By safe haven here, we mean gold or highly stable currencies. We will also see many investors fleeing with their investments from the Middle East because of this war. All these economic problems are also occurring at a time when the global economic community has already been suffering from a major crisis for some time. This crisis is the economic war between the United States and its allies on one side and China and its allies on the other side. This also deepens the negative impact on the global economy, in addition to causing disruptions in supply chains as well. Therefore, economic experts say that because of this war, there has been a contraction in the global economy of between 3.5% to 4.5%, which was very noticeable during the days of the war. This contraction, which we will see clearly, will also affect the American economy, particularly in terms of jobs. There is also the periodic US jobs report, and this in addition to cyber attacks or cyber warfare, which has been ongoing since the beginning of the Iran war up until the date this video was recorded. The decline in the value of the Iranian currency has led Iranians themselves to seek out other safe havens to preserve the value of their capital. These safe havens include buying gold, the US dollar, and some other stable currencies in which they sell the Iranian rial, and this leads to further pressure on the value of the Iranian currency. Additionally, the disruption of the transportation of goods to Iran has led to a significant decrease in essential goods such as medical supplies and other strategic items needed by the Iranian people. In addition to that, the delay in the arrival of high-value goods due to bottlenecks in air transport operations undoubtedly leads to disruptions in supply and logistics chains within Iran, especially for perishable goods or those in very high demand during the summer period. And despite the fact that Iran, as we mentioned, has been under very strict and severe monitoring for the past 15 years, the United States of America imposes an economic blockade on it and prohibits any country from purchasing Iranian oil. However, we clearly see that the Chinese oil company is the largest importer of Iranian oil. We should also mention that Western sanctions on Iran are not limited to the oil sector, but also extend to financial transactions and payment processing. This has been a major reason for the decline in the value of the Iranian rial. Today, if an Iranian citizen wants to obtain $1, they need to pay more than 35,000 Iranian rials in exchange. This is a figure that is traded on the black market in Iran, and it is extremely high, so high that neither the Iranian citizen nor the Iranian economy can bear it. Another problem is that Iran is not self-sufficient when it comes to providing food products for its citizens. It cannot directly provide its own food product. Another issue that has led to a lack of transparency and trust in the Iranian economy is what is known as the Iranian Revolutionary Guard file. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard now controls every aspect of the economy within the country. The Revolutionary Guard and its affiliated entities are not obligated to pay any taxes inside Iran. Also, no one can force them to disclose their economic files or business operations. Of course, as we are recording this video, the war in Iran is still ongoing. And without a doubt, its economic claims are increasing day by day. However, there is no doubt that after this war ends, we will see the economic effects on Iran and on all countries of the world. And how much time Iran will need to fully recover its economy in the end, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Have a good evening.